My dear friends, I want to begin today with a very simple question, but one that touches the lives of so many of us. Have you ever had a late dinner after 9 p.m. and then woken up the next morning feeling heavy, sluggish, and unusually tired? If your answer is yes, then you are not alone. In my more than 35 years of practicing medicine here in the United States, I've met hundreds of patients, especially those over 50, who have shared that very same experience with me. One of my patients, Robert, 62 years old, once sighed and said, "Doctor, I still keep the habit of eating late at night. My kids get home from work late, so we wait for each other and often sit down to eat around 9:30 or even 10. But every morning I wake up with my heart racing, my stomach heavy, and I just want to stay in bed." At that moment, I explained to him gently that the human body is like a worker. It needs regular rest hours. If you force it to keep working after the sun has gone down, your organs, especially the pancreas and the liver, will have to labor overtime when they should be resting. Just imagine this. Your pancreas, no bigger than your hand, works tirelessly each day to release insulin and keep your blood sugar in check. Meanwhile, your liver acts like a warehouse manager, sorting, storing, and distributing energy. When you eat too late, especially heavy meals loaded with starch, sugar, or fat, you force them into the night shift. And as you can guess, no worker can handle night shifts forever without burning out. That is why medical studies have shown that eating dinner after 8 p.m. increases the risk of blood sugar imbalances, type 2 diabetes, and even heart disease. Think back for a moment. Have you ever eaten a late dinner, pizza, pasta, or maybe a slice of cake, and then gone straight to bed? That night, your sleep was likely restless, your heart beat faster, and the next morning you woke up thirsty, your body heavy. That is not just aging. That is your body crying out because it has been pushed to work at the wrong time. I recall a study I once read from Harvard, which found that people who regularly ate after 9 p.m. had higher insulin levels and a greater risk of insulin resistance compared to those who finished dinner before 7 p.m. You don't need a textbook to understand this. If you keep forcing your pancreas to work when it should be resting, it will eventually weaken. And when the pancreas grows weak, diabetes is never far behind. I also remember another patient, Margaret, 68 years old. She came to me worried about her fluctuating blood sugar levels. After asking about her lifestyle habits, I discovered that she usually ate dinner around 9:30, sometimes even 10. I advised her to make one small change: eat before 7:30, and if she felt like having something later, drink a cup of herbal tea instead. A few weeks later, she returned, smiling brightly. "Doctor, I'm sleeping so much better now. In the mornings, my mind feels clear, and my blood sugar has been much more stable." That moment reminded me, and now I want to remind you, that health often does not come from expensive treatments, but from simple discipline in daily habits. Eating just 1 hour earlier, going to bed just a little sooner, those small acts can become the most powerful medicine for protecting your pancreas, your liver, and your heart. So the next time the clock strikes 8 p.m., I want you to ask yourself, do I want my body to rest tonight, or am I going to force it to work the night shift again? The answer lies in your hands, because only you are the author of your health story, writing it one page at a time, one meal at a time. My dear friends, I want you to imagine this. Our body is like a garden. During the day, when the sun shines, the garden flourishes, absorbing energy, growing strong and vibrant. But when night falls, that same garden needs rest. It needs darkness and quiet to restore itself. If you keep the lights blazing and water it continuously through the night, sooner or later, the garden will wither. The human body is no different. Eating late at night is like turning on the lights and watering at the wrong time. One of my patients, James, 57 years old, once confessed that he had a habit of late-night snacking. After watching a basketball game or a long TV series, he would often grab a sandwich or a bowl of cereal around 11 p.m. When we ran his blood tests, his number showed prediabetes. I asked him, "James, would you be willing to change this one habit in exchange for healthier mornings?" He chuckled and said, "I never thought something so small could cause such a big problem." After he began eating dinner earlier, within just 3 months, his blood sugar dropped significantly, and he told me he felt far more energetic every morning. That story gives us something to reflect on. Health is not only determined by what you eat, but also by when you eat. Science calls this chrononutrition, nutrition aligned with your body's natural rhythms. Inside all of us is a biological clock, guiding everything from heartbeat and sleep to digestion. Eating late at night is like resetting that precious clock in the wrong direction, throwing the entire system out of sync. I know, sometimes you may think, but doctor, I'm used to it. I enjoy nibbling at night, and I understand. When I was younger, I too ate late on many nights after long hospital shifts. But after the age of 50, our bodies no longer bounce back the way they did at 30. What we could endure in youth now leaves deeper marks at 60. Have you ever noticed the difference? Just one light dinner at 6 p.m., followed by a short 20-minute walk, and the evening feels completely different. Sleep comes easier, the morning feels lighter, and you can start your day without needing that extra strong cup of coffee. That is the simple reward for a small act of discipline toward yourself. From a medical perspective, your liver and pancreas need at least 10 to 12 hours of night rest to recover their function. If you eat dinner at 10 p.m., that means your digestive system won't finish working until 8 the next morning. But by then, you're already starting breakfast. Day after day, your organs never truly get a full night's rest. And then you wonder why you feel tired, why you gain weight easily, or why sleep becomes shallow. The answer lies hidden in that late-night eating habit. So I want you to pause for a moment and ask yourself, how long has it been since my body had a truly restful night? If that question makes you uneasy, then today is the perfect time to make a change. It doesn't require anything grand, just an earlier dinner, a warm cup of water instead of a midnight snack, and a gentler night's sleep. Being 50, 60, or even 70 is not the end. It is the opportunity to write a new chapter, a chapter of discipline, peace, and love for your own body. And it all begins the moment you put down your fork before 8 p.m. My dear friends, there is something I always remind my patients of. Dinner is not just about food, it is a spiritual ritual. It is like a closing greeting to end the day. If you close that door in peace, your body will rest in lightness. But if you close it with haste, heavy meals, and late-night snacking, you carry that burden with you throughout the night. I remember a woman named Linda, 70 years old, who once came to me exhausted. She told me, "Doctor, I don't understand why every morning I feel like I've just run a marathon. I don't even eat that much, but I always crave sweets at night, so I usually have a bowl of cereal or some cookies before bed." When I ran her tests, I found that her blood sugar levels were swinging up and down unpredictably. I encouraged her to try a new habit, have dinner at 6 p.m., choose only something light, and replace her late-night snack with a cup of warm chamomile tea. Amazingly, just a few weeks later, she returned and said, "For the first time in years, I woke up feeling refreshed, without needing to sleep in." That story reminds us that the human body does not demand complexity. It simply needs to be listened to and treated at the right time. Like a piece of music, it has crescendos and it has pauses. Evening is that necessary pause. But if you keep adding drums and trumpets when the music should be quiet, the whole symphony becomes noisy and chaotic. From a scientific point of view, there is also a clear explanation. When you eat late, insulin levels rise just when your body is preparing to enter deep sleep. Insulin doesn't just control blood sugar, it also plays a role in cell repair and hormone regulation. When this process is disrupted, you are more likely to experience insomnia, difficulty losing weight, and over time, higher risks of diabetes, high blood pressure, and heart disease. Have you ever felt this way? You eat late, then toss and turn all night, and in the morning your mind feels foggy. If you have, consider it a gentle warning from your body. It does not shout or scream, but it whispers through fatigue, through thirst, through restless sleep. I often tell my patients, don't think of being 50 or 60 as the time when everything declines. In fact, this is when your body simply wants you to treat it with more kindness. Eating dinner earlier, eating moderately, and giving your liver and pancreas the rest they need, this is the gift you can give by yourself every day. No one else can do it for you. So tonight, when the clock strikes 7 p.m., I hope you will try turning off the stove, clearing the table, and allowing your body the chance to rest. Don't wait until illness knocks on your door to finally pay attention. Health is not about tomorrow. It is about the small choices you make today. Let each dinner become a gentle promise to yourself. I will allow my body to rest so that tomorrow morning I can rise lighter, brighter, and happier. My dear friends, when I look back on more than 35 years of practicing medicine, what weighs on me most is not the complicated surgeries or the difficult prescriptions. What lingers in my heart are the small, seemingly harmless habits that silently steal away the health of so many patients. And late dinners are one of those habits. I want you to pause for a moment and ask yourself, have I been unknowingly forcing my liver and pancreas to work the night shift, day after day? If the answer is yes, then remember this. Your body is not an endless machine. It is like a companion, one that needs your care, your respect, and your permission to rest. An elderly man named Henry, 74 years old, once said to me, "Doctor, I used to think illness was fate, but I've realized it's really just the result of repeated choices." That sentence has stayed with me ever since. Because it is true. Health is not only the gift you inherit from your parents, but also the gift you give yourself every day through the little choices you make. Now imagine this. If every evening you eat before 7 p.m., take a gentle walk around the neighborhood, and then sip a warm cup of tea instead of reaching for a late-night dessert, what would you be like 10 years from now? Perhaps you would still be climbing a flight of stairs at 70 without losing your breath. Perhaps you would be a grandmother strong enough to play with her grandchildren. Or perhaps, most importantly, you would simply still be you, calm, light, and not weighed down by endless medicines and hospital visits. I'm not saying this change is easy. I know there will be evenings when you feel lonely looking at an empty table, or when you feel tempted because friends invite you out for late-night snacks. But I want you to remember your health is worth far more than any fleeting indulgence. A little discipline today can give you thousands of peaceful mornings in the future. In my career, I have witnessed too many patients regret that they did not listen to their bodies sooner. And I hope that those of you watching this video will not be among them. If you are 50, 60, or 70 years old, today is not too late to begin. See dinner before 8 p.m. as a promise, not only to your own health, but to the loved ones who are waiting for you to be well and happy. My friends, life is like a book. You cannot rewrite the chapters that have passed, but you can always write the pages that are to come. Let each evening be a light page, not a heavy one. Let your sleep be restorative, not restless. And let your heart, your liver, your pancreas breathe and rest, just as a garden needs the darkness of night to be renewed. So if you are watching this video, I want you to begin tonight. Eat a little earlier, put down your phone a little sooner, give your body the chance to rest completely. Because in the end, health is the most precious gift you can give yourself and the most precious gift you can give to those who love you. Thank you for listening. And if you found these reflections helpful, don't forget to share this video with a friend or a loved one, because sometimes one small change in habit can save an entire life. My dear friends, I want to begin today with a true story that I will never forget. One of my patients, Richard, 61 years old, came to see me in a state of deep worry. When we ran his blood tests, his blood sugar level was 449 milligrams per deciliter, a number that would shock anyone. I still remember the look in his eyes as he stared at that piece of paper. It was fear mixed with helplessness. He said, "Doctor, I think my life is over. There's no way back for me now." I sat down beside him, gently took his hand, and said, "Richard, take a deep breath. This is not a full stop. It's just a comma, a chance to begin a new chapter. We will change this together." Have you ever felt like that? Looking at your health results, blood pressure rising, blood sugar high, heart pounding fast, and thought there was no way out. If you have, then you can understand the feeling Richard went through. But here's the miracle. The human body has an extraordinary ability to heal if we only give it the chance. The first thing I did was not to prescribe more medication. Instead, I sat with him and talked about lifestyle. I asked, "What time do you usually have dinner? Do you sleep regularly? Do your meals contain plenty of vegetables and whole grains, or mostly red meat and sweets?" Those simple questions opened up an entire story. Richard admitted that he often ate dinner late, sometimes 9 or 10 p.m., and his meals were usually pizza, burgers, and fries. For a man in his 60s, those foods were simply too heavy. His sleep was restless, and he often stayed up past midnight watching TV. I want you to imagine this, your pancreas, no bigger than your hand, working tirelessly every single day to keep your blood sugar under control. When you eat late at night, especially heavy foods full of starch and fat, you are forcing your pancreas into the night shift. And your liver, like a storage warehouse, never gets to rest either. Day after day, these two vital organs become exhausted. That number, 449 milligrams per deciliter, did not appear by chance. It was the result of years of strain. But here is the point I want you to remember. With just a few fundamental changes, the body can still recover. I guided Richard to begin eating dinner before 7 p.m., focusing on vegetables, fish, and whole grains. I advised him to turn off the TV earlier, take a short walk after dinner, and be in bed by 10 p.m. There was no magic secret, no miracle pill, only simple habits that all of us can practice. And then the miracle happened. After just a few weeks, his blood sugar levels began to drop steadily, moving toward a safe range. But even more important than the numbers was the light returning to his face. He smiled and said, "Doctor, I feel alive again. I no longer wake up tired in the mornings. I feel hope." My friends, science has proven that lifestyle changes in diet and sleep can significantly lower the risk of diabetes and help stabilize blood sugar. But beyond the studies, it is the lived experiences of patients like Richard that prove it most clearly. So I want you to pause and ask yourself, am I forcing my body to overwork with late dinners and restless nights? If the answer is yes, then today is the best time to begin your new journey. Don't wait until you see a number like 449 staring back at you from a test result. Act now with small but powerful choices. And I promise you this, if you treat your body with gentleness and care, it will reward you with a healing power more miraculous than you ever imagined. My dear friends, today I want us to talk about something so familiar that it often gets overlooked. Fiber and whole grains, it's a vitamins. Have you ever wondered why, after the same type of meal, some people feel light and full of energy, while others feel tired, drowsy, and even experience a spike in blood sugar? The difference does not always lie in the amount of food, but in its quality, specifically in the amount of fiber and whole grains it contains. I remember a patient named Caroline, 65 years old. She came to me with unstable blood sugar, sometimes shooting up, other times dropping low. She said, "Doctor, I've cut out sugar and sweets, but my blood sugar is still not steady." Why is that? When I looked deeper, I discovered that her meals consisted almost entirely of white rice, white bread, and red meat. Very little green vegetables, very little fresh fruit, and almost no whole grains. Her liver was overworked, and her insulin was being resisted constantly. I advised her to begin with very small changes. Replace white rice with brown rice, white bread with whole wheat bread, add a salad of leafy greens with a few slices of avocado. Just 2 months later, Caroline returned, took my hand, and smiled. "Doctor, not only is my blood sugar more stable, but I feel lighter, and my spirit is so much brighter." You see, our body is like a garden. If you only pour chemical fertilizer into it, plants will grow quickly, but the soil will become depleted. But if you enrich it with organic matter, fallen leaves that decompose and nourish the soil, the garden will thrive year after year. Fiber and whole grains are that organic matter for your body. They feed the good bacteria in your gut, slow down digestion, and keep your blood sugar from spiking and crashing. At the same time, they give your liver space to breathe and cleanse your blood instead of drowning in fat and sugar. Have you ever noticed how, after a meal full of refined starches, a wave of drowsiness crashes down on you? Your mind feels heavy, and even your heart beats faster. That is your body reacting to the overload of sugar in your blood. But if you start your morning with a bowl of whole grain oatmeal, an apple, or a handful of walnuts, you'll notice a steady flow of energy instead. No mid-morning crash, no overwhelming fatigue. From a medical perspective, fiber acts like a natural filter, slowing down sugar absorption, easing the burden on the pancreas, and reducing insulin resistance, the root cause of type 2 diabetes. Whole grains, rich in B vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants help restore the liver and maintain the resilience of the heart and blood vessels. This is not abstract theory. It's something I've seen firsthand in hundreds of my patients. I want you to imagine this. If each day you give your body a small gift, a bowl of oatmeal, a serving of brown rice, a plate of fresh greens, then years from now, your body will thank you in ways no medicine ever could. You'll sleep more deeply, wake up clearer in the morning, and your liver will be stronger to accompany you well into your 60s, 70s, and even 80s. So, my friends, never underestimate the power of these simple foods. Don't think that only medicine can save the body. Sometimes a bowl of brown rice, a slice of whole grain bread, or a crisp, juicy apple is the most elegant prescription of all. Start tonight with a dinner that nourishes not just your stomach, but your soul from the inside out. My dear friends, today I want to touch on a subject that many men often hesitate to talk about, but silently worry about deep inside: male vitality in middle age. I have seen quite a few patients in their 50s and 60s come into my office with concern, not just about blood sugar, blood pressure, or cholesterol, but because they feel they are no longer as strong and vigorous as before. They often whisper to me, almost afraid for others to hear, "Doctor, I feel weaker. I don't have the confidence I once did." Have you ever felt that way? One morning you wake up, look in the mirror, and notice your hair thinning, your muscles no longer firm, and more troubling than all of that, that inner spark of vitality seems to be fading. If so, you are not alone. Many men in middle and later life go through the same experience. One of my patients, Daniel, 58 years old, is an example. He had once been a man full of energy, working all day without feeling tired. But in recent years, he came to me with a heavy expression. His blood sugar was rising, his belly was expanding, and most importantly, he told me, "Doctor, I don't feel like myself anymore." When I looked closer, I found his diet was filled with red meat, fried foods, sugary sodas, and he often ate late at night. These seemingly small habits had slowly been draining his vitality, day by day, month by month. I want you to imagine this. The male body is a finely tuned machine, and testosterone is the fire that keeps its engine running strong. But when we constantly fuel it with the wrong foods, too much sugar, unhealthy fats, not enough greens, and little to no whole grains, that fire begins to burn out. The liver becomes surrounded by fat, the pancreas becomes exhausted from battling high blood sugar, and the result is a decline in hormones in weakening male vitality. This is not just a medical issue, it is about confidence, family happiness, and even the meaning of life itself. Science has proven that a diet rich in vegetables, fresh fruits, whole grains, and fatty fish like salmon or mackerel can help improve testosterone levels, increase circulation, and protect men's sexual health. But I want to emphasize this: you don't need complicated formulas, and you don't need expensive supplements. Simply by changing your habits, eating earlier, eating greener, sleeping deeper, your body will naturally find its balance again. Do you recall a time when you ate a heavy, greasy dinner and the next morning woke up sluggish, heavy, and drained of energy? That is your body's way of telling you that you are draining your own vitality. On the other hand, if you try a lighter meal, grilled fish, some steamed vegetables, and a bowl of brown rice, you will notice sleep comes easier and you wake up lighter and more refreshed. That is the first step toward regaining your masculine vitality. I often tell my patients, being 50 or 60 is not the end. It's simply a reminder that now is the time to live more wisely, to love your body more deeply. Vitality doesn't simply disappear. It only retreats when you have not treated it well. Give it the chance to return by changing the small, everyday choices that matter most. So, my friends, if you sit down at dinner tonight, remember this. Each food you choose does not only nourish your liver, heart, or pancreas, it also nourishes your strength, your confidence, and your inner vitality. Don't let harmful habits quietly steal away what is so precious. Begin today so that you not only live longer, but live stronger, with confidence, energy, and passion. My dear friends, there is an old saying that I believe all of us have heard at least once: prevention is better than cure. But have you ever paused and asked yourself, What have I truly done to prevent illness? Too often, people only start to change when sickness has already arrived, when the numbers on a blood test turn red, when the doctor is forced to prescribe medication. Yet health is like a garden. If you care for it each day with simple acts, you won't have to fear the storms when they come. A large study from the World Health Organization revealed that just 400 grams of vegetables and fruit per day, the equivalent of 4 to 5 servings, can significantly reduce the risk of heart disease, diabetes, and even certain types of cancer. But in reality, many people, especially after the age of 50, eat less than half that amount. And they often tell me, "Doctor, I'm healthy. There's nothing wrong. I still walk. I still eat normally." I usually smile and remind them, yes, you may feel healthy today, but that doesn't mean you'll be healthy 10 years from now if the foundation stones, vegetables, fruits, and good sleep aren't laid properly. I remember a woman named Alice, 63 years old, who came to me when her blood sugar was just slightly above normal. She wasn't worried because she had no symptoms, but I knew that if she continued her habits of eating little produce, staying up late, and often skipping breakfast, in a few years she would be facing full-blown diabetes. I encouraged her to start small, add a bowl of salad at lunch, have an apple or a pear in the afternoon, and go to bed before 10 p.m. 6 months later, when I saw her again, she smiled and said, "Doctor, I feel younger. I sleep better, I wake up lighter, and my blood sugar is stable again." You see, prevention is not something distant or difficult. It is right there on your dinner plate, in the time you decide to lie down to rest. A healthy person today still needs to plant seeds of protection for tomorrow. The body, like a machine, requires regular maintenance. You may not yet hear the engine knocking, but if you never change the oil, never service it, one day it may suddenly stop. I want you to imagine if each day you added one more serving of vegetables, one more piece of fresh fruit, and chose to go to bed an hour earlier, what would you be like 5 or 10 years from now? Perhaps you would be the grandfather still strong enough to play with his grandchildren, the grandmother still well enough to tend her garden, or simply the partner still able to hold the hand of your loved one for an evening walk. Those simple, tender moments are the true rewards of prevention. From a medical perspective, fruits and vegetables not only provide vitamins and minerals, but also fiber, which helps regulate blood sugar and eases the burden on the liver and pancreas. Going to bed early allows the body to restore hormones, repair cells, and slow down the aging process. This is not an empty promise. It is the reality I have seen in hundreds of patients who chose prevention instead of waiting for disease to knock on their door. So my friends, don't wait until you need medication to think about your health. Consider those 400 grams of fruits and vegetables each day in an early bedtime as a gift you give yourself, a gift no one else can replace. Because in the end, the most precious thing is not how many years you live, but how well and how peacefully you live in each of those years. My dear friends, today I want to share about a topic that often makes many women feel worried, yet is rarely spoken about enough: the impact of diet on ovarian health, especially polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS. Many people think PCOS is only an issue for the young, for women in their 20s. But in reality, it can leave long-lasting effects on health, from irregular periods and difficulty managing weight to an increased risk of diabetes and heart disease as women enter middle age. One of my patients, Catherine, now 55 years old, once confided, "Doctor, when I was young, I had PCOS, but I thought it would end once I reached menopause. Yet I still gain weight easily, my blood sugar is unstable, and my heart races." When I reviewed her diet, I found that most of her meals consisted of white bread, pasta, pastries, and sugary sodas. These foods, rich in sugar and refined starches, had silently disrupted her hormones, preventing her body from ever finding the balance it needed. Have you ever felt this way yourself? Even though you don't eat too much, the weight still creeps up, your sleep is restless, and your moods swing. This is not always just aging. Sometimes it is your body reacting to the wrong diet. The good news is that even for women who once had PCOS or who now worry about their hormonal health, change is always within reach. When Catherine replaced white bread with whole grain bread, added more leafy greens and low-sugar fruits, and spent 20 minutes walking each afternoon. After only 3 months, she found her blood sugar more stable, her weight lighter, and, most importantly, her spirit brighter and more confident. I want you to imagine this. A woman's body is like a delicate garden in need of gentle care. If you feed it with refined sugar and poor quality starches, the plants will wither over time. But if you nourish it with healthy foods and give it a little daily movement, that garden will bloom again. Whether you are 30, 50, or even 70. From my experience, PCOS and hormonal imbalances are not a life sentence. They are simply reminders that the body needs a different rhythm, a different set of choices. And when you choose wisely, the body will always respond with healing, with lighter mornings, and with a renewed sense of hope within yourself. My dear friends, there is an organ in our body that we often take for granted until it cries out for help, and that is the liver. The liver is like a faithful storekeeper, quietly storing, filtering, and distributing energy for the body every single day. Yet once we pass the age of 50, many people begin to face fatty liver disease without even realizing it. And the worrying part is that when the liver begins to decline, its ability to store sugar decreases, making blood sugar levels spike easily after meals. I still remember Mr. Thomas, 67 years old, who came to see me looking very fatigued. He said, "Doctor, I don't eat that much, but every afternoon after lunch I feel heavy, my eyes get drowsy, and my heart beats fast." When I examined him, I discovered that he had fairly advanced fatty liver disease. That explained why even after just a bowl of white rice or a slice of cake, his blood sugar could shoot up and then crash down, leaving his body in a state of imbalance. Have you ever felt the same way? After what seems like an ordinary meal, you suddenly feel heavy, sleepy, or your heart races? That may not simply be old age. It may be your liver quietly signaling that it is getting weaker. Fatty liver doesn't always cause pain, but it silently eats away at your health, making it harder for your body to regulate blood sugar and increasing the risks of diabetes and heart disease. The good news is that the liver has an amazing ability to heal itself, if you give it the chance. Changing your diet, less fried food, less alcohol, more vegetables, fish, and whole grains, along with gentle daily exercise, can allow the liver to breathe again after years of overload. I want you to imagine this. A garden covered in trash and weeds cannot possibly nourish healthy plants. But if you clean it, add new soil, and water it consistently, soon enough that garden will flourish again. Your liver is the same. It only needs you to listen and care for it at the right time. From more than 30 years of experience, I've learned one thing: the liver does not ask for anything grand. It only needs simple nourishment, earlier nights of rest, and steady movement. In return, it will grant you days of peace with stable blood sugar and a healthy heart. So my friends, don't wait until your body is exhausted to think about your liver. Begin today with a greener meal, an earlier bedtime, so this loyal storekeeper can continue walking with you through your 50s, 60s, and 70s with full and vibrant health. My dear friends, in more than 30 years of practicing medicine, I have realized there is a kind of medicine that no pharmacy can sell, yet it has the extraordinary power to rejuvenate the body, especially after the age of 50. That medicine is discipline and sleep. Simply put, going to bed early and not staying up late is the greatest gift you can give your liver, heart, brain, and hormonal system. I remember Mary, 64 years old, who once came to me in a state of exhaustion. She sighed, "Doctor, I eat fairly healthily, but every morning I wake up tired, my skin looks dull, my memory feels weaker, and I just feel like I'm aging too quickly." After looking deeper, I discovered she often stayed awake until 1 or 2 a.m., reading the news, watching TV, or chatting with friends. Day after day, her body was robbed of the precious hours her organs desperately needed to restore themselves. I advised her to start simply. Set an alarm to go to bed at 10 p.m., turn off her phone, turn off the lights, and allow her body to sink into natural sleep. Just 2 months later, she returned with a smile. "Doctor, I feel younger again. My mornings are clearer, my skin is brighter, and I even feel motivated to exercise again." Have you ever felt the same way? Staying up an extra hour at night, thinking you are gaining more time for yourself, only to find the next morning that your body is heavy, your mind foggy, and the whole day feels unproductive. That is not a luxury of aging. It is a warning sign that your body needs to rest in tune with this natural rhythm. Science has shown that between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., the liver and other organs enter their most powerful phase of repair. If you miss this golden window, your body becomes like a machine that is never serviced properly. It may still run on the outside, but inside, it is wearing down. I want you to picture this. Going to bed early is like having a skilled craftsman silently patching the holes in the roof of your body so that when you step out into the world the next morning, you stand stronger and steadier. After 50, we no longer have the luxury of wasting away countless late nights. So my friends, don't think of going to bed early as a strict discipline. Think of it as an act of kindness you give yourself. Give your liver, heart, and brain the chance to rest fully. Because sometimes the true secret to rejuvenating the body does not come from expensive bottles of pills, but from a simple decision: turning off the lights, setting aside the phone, and going to bed early.